Now there's a lot of spinning reels under $100 in today's market, one of them being the Pflueger Trion, which I have in my hands right here. Now the question we're going to ask today is this reel worth it? Let's find out. Now before we get into my review, let's go over the specs on the reel that I have in my hands right here. So this guy right here is the Trion SP25X. This one right here has a gear ratio of 5.2 to 1. The max drag is coming in at 6 pounds. Bearings is going to be 6 plus 1. The weight is coming in at 7.5 ounces. It's got a line capacity of 110 yards of 4-pound test and 90 yards of 6-pound test. And the MSRP is going to be around $50. Now, as for notable features on this reel, the ones that really stuck out to me were the graphite body and rotor, the aluminum spool and handle, and then the soft touch reeling knob on the handle. Now, as for looks, this reel goes very heavy on the silver. It's got a silver spool, a silver spool cap, silver handle other than the black reeling little, the plastic knob there. You've got silver accents on the bottom of the reel and on the other side of the handle. And then you've got some other silver accents throughout the reel kind of spread out. Most of the reel, other than that real shiny silver, is going to be, it's kind of like this gray, like this grayish matte silvery. So it's just very heavy on that kind of gray silver look. If you're into that, I know looks, don't determine whether you catch more fish or not, but if you're really into the looks and you want it to match up with the, with the rod, say you've got a gray rod, then this would be a great pair up for you. Now, as for versatility, I would pretty much just stick to freshwater with this. I would not do any type of saltwater situations with this reel. I don't think it's going to be sealed very well, and I don't think this reel is going to be able to handle a lot of heavy salt water, especially with like a 6 to 11 pound drag for most of the models. So I would definitely stick to your panfish, bass, trout, stuff like that. If you stick to those areas, especially, considering they have a size 20 to 40 available, if you stick to that area right in there, you'll be fine. I even think on the 35 and 40, you'd be fine going for some smaller catfish. I think you'd be fine with that as well. Now, as for the durability and build quality here, this reel has a mix of graphite and aluminum, which is why they were able to cut that weight down to about 7.5 ounces. But because they cut that weight down, right, there's going to be parts in this reel that are very durable, and there's going to be other parts in this reel that maybe aren't the most durable. At least what I've noticed from using Pflueger in the past is Pfluegers have always been tanks. I mean, they have been really hard reels to break, and I think this reel, just based on the feel and based how similar it is in build quality to the Pflueger President, I think that is going to be the same thing on this reel as well. I think you're going to be able to use this if you want to give this to kids, or you want just kind of like a secondary reel. It's just kind of like a beat up, throw in the truck reel, that you don't have a lot of expectations for. You're fine with it getting just, beat to heck. I think this would be a great option for that, especially because when it does finally break, you're not out a whole ton of money. I think mixing those two components into this reel, I think was a good thing. I think you were able to cut down on that weight a little bit, but I think most of the parts that they made with the stronger materials are the parts that needed to stay strong, right? And so I think you're not going to have any problems with durability on this reel. Now, as for the ergonomics and feel, this reel is coming in at anywhere from like 6 to 10 ounces, depending on the model. Like I said before, it was because using those two different materials, they were able to make it a little bit lighter. The one thing I will say is the 6 to 10 ounce, that's pretty average in terms of how spinning reels go. There's some other reels out there, especially Daiwas, that are in that same weight range, but I think are much smoother reels in terms of just like the overall feel of it. Daiwa has their air drive system, which is really awesome. It makes a super smooth reeling. I do like the handles. Pflueger has done a lot of work on the handles, and I think they're much better than some of the old models that they used to make. But I think overall, for that price range, I think Daiwa's got them beat, like reels like the Revros. There's a couple others in there that I think are about 50 to 60 bucks, and I think are smoother and easier to use all day than this. But that being said, I still think this is an awesome reel. I still think it's very smooth in your hands. I think for that price range, I think you're not going to have any fatigue. You could fish this all day long. You're not going to have a problem. And some people really like the Pflueger feel. It's definitely a different feel compared to Daiwas and Shimano's and some of those other ones. There's people that's all they'll use is just Pflueger stuff. And if you like the Pflueger feel, you're going to love this reel, especially for that price point. Now, as far as casting goes, there's not really too much to say about this. It does have the fully aluminum spool. You know, as long as you fill up your line to the top of that spool, you know, I think you're going to be fine. You're going to be casting, you know, no problem. Now, let's talk about price here. Now, I don't think this reel is perfect by any means, but I think for 50 bucks, I think it's still a pretty dang good deal on the market. I think if you're a fisherman looking for, you know, a decent bang for your buck option and you like Pflueger reels, you want something that's going to last you a while, I think for 50 bucks, this isn't a bad choice. Pflueger also makes a Trion combo, which is the rod combined with the reel on this. And those come in, I think are like 60 or 70 bucks. So for 60, 70 bucks, you're getting an entire combo, right? Add line on there, maybe another 10 bucks for a spool of line. Under $100, you have an entire combo that you're fishing with, which I think is pretty cool. And I actually put that Trion combo on one of my top 5 spinning rod and reel combos under 150 bucks. That was on there. So I do think that is a great bang for your buck option. If you really like the Pflueger feel and you're willing to spend a little bit more money, I think the Pflueger President is a much better choice than this. You definitely can feel the difference on that reel. However, if 50 bucks is all you got, or, you know, however much it costs at the time you guys are seeing this, it's probably going to be around that price range. If that's how much you guys have, then I think this reel is totally worth it, especially if this reel were to go on sale or something, then I think that's a big time steal. All right, let's go over the pros and cons of this reel here real quick. As for the pros, number one, this reel is going to be very durable. It's going to hold up for you. It also has a really cool silver look to it. For those of you that really like that kind of shiny look, I think you're going to really like this one. It also has that aluminum spool, which is pretty nice. And then that price for 50 bucks, that is an absolute steal. As for the cons, this reel is not as smooth as some other reels in this price range. And then it's also not sealed. So I would not recommend using this for saltwater or any type of you know, heavy hard water usage. I'm going to give this reel a 7 out of 10 in terms of rating. I think it passes, right? 7 out of 10 is a C. It passes for 50 bucks. It's a good bang for your buck setup. However, I think there are some reels around the same price range that are a little bit nicer, which is why I would give them a little bit higher of a grade than that 7 out of 10. If you guys want to see a video on a rod that would pair up very nicely with this, I will put that video right here. If you guys want to see my top favorite spinning reels for under $100, I will put that video right here for you. So hopefully you guys got a kick out of today's episode. Hopefully you learned something, and we will see you guys next time on Humbug Videos.